All right, how we doing, everybody? We are going into last week's comics. They were released on the 9th of May. Today is the 15th, so we're talking about just about a week. Tomorrow will be a week. It'll be new comic book day tomorrow. So let's jump right in, and I'm starting with this one because I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant. So this is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. And it's Dark Star Rising by Venditti. So the storyline has been good. And I can't say anything negative about it. So it starts out with Hal, and of course the backstory of it. If you've seen my previous episodes, so the Dark Stars is kind of led by Tumar-2. Because they entrapped the controllers. The controllers created these suits as kind of rings. So instead of having rings, they have suits. But these Dark Stars, they are basically a new set of cops, but they believe in capital punishment. So they kill the baddies instead of imprisoning them, which has put them at odds with the Green Lantern Corps. So in this issue, they realize that they cannot fight these things, so that they look for help. So meanwhile, Hal is investigating the death of Goldface. That's a great name. But anyway, Goldface. So Goldface was in prison. He gets a visit from Tumar-2, who kills him. And all he basically leaves is a skeleton. But not even a corpse, a skeleton. But the skeleton's face is not gold, in case we were wondering. So he's met by the Flash because he's in Central City, and he basically explains to the Flash why he's there, and goes to the Flash like, "Hey, this is my city. Remember, I'm a cop, so I need to know what the hell's going on." Then it moves into Guy Gardner, who has a meeting with Arkillo, and this is where I want to do my rant. So Arkillo is a Yellow Lantern, and they were partnered up during another storyline where the Sinestro Corps were together, linked together with the Green Lantern Corps. So they were trying to work it out because they were stronger together, and Kyle Rayner was kind of dating or whatever else Sinestro's daughter, who is now leading up the Sinestro Corps. So that was a great storyline. They just ended up very abruptly. I don't know why they did, because it basically became a buddy cop type of thing, where each one of the characters could have been paired with a Yellow Lantern, so you had immediate conflict, Lethal Weapon style. With these things, I mean, I could have been called Hal Jordan and the Sinestro Corps. I would have loved that. And then on top of that, it's even if I had a Guy Gardner or Arkillo book, I would buy that. But the storyline was so great, and the characters automatically had conflict. It was really a perfect setup, and I don't know why they discontinued it. But now he and Arkillo, I guess, have a beer monthly or whatever. So they're sitting down, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to need some help." And Arkillo's like, "Yeah, maybe." So we'll see what happens with them. And then Guy Gardner, he ends up meeting with the taxi guy. I don't understand the whole taxi guy thing, but there's like a intergalactic taxi, and he's meeting with him to see if he has people that he can hook up with. And John Stewart goes to Zod, so that it kind of melds into the whole Zod storyline that they had that really was kind of anticlimactic. And he fights with Zod, and Zod thinks that the brass knuckles he has is just a construct because it's green. And he ends up breaking Zod's hand with it, and he realizes it's kryptonite. So I thought that was kind of cool. But basically he starts trying to talk Zod into helping them. So meanwhile at the end, Hal goes to see Hector Hammond, and when he does, he's met with another villain, which I won't reveal. But anyway, he's met with another villain, so we'll see what happens there. But again, it's really good. But I would have preferred them keep the storyline with the Sinestro Corps, and it could have fed into this as well. So anyway, that is number 44. So recommend it. Definitely pick that up. Okay, then I'm going to move into Marvel. So I'm kind of going to go back and forth between Marvel and DC. I didn't get any independents this week. So we're going into Domino number 2, written by Gail Simone, is one of my favorite writers, which is pretty much why I picked it up. The cover is by Greg Land. Great guy and a great artist. So every time I go to a convention, I kind of buy something from him. But so far, it's been decent. I'm not really kind of versed in the whole Domino storyline, so I don't know what she's kind of done in the X books. But anyway, in this storyline, at the end of the last one, she was thrown out of a window, and her powers were taken away, and she has like the power of luck. So as she's falling, there's two people, there's an older guy and a woman. And he tells the woman to take back, you know, I guess they eliminated her powers, and tells him to give back her powers. So when he does, Spider-Man comes and saves her at the last minute. And he goes, I just happened to be in the area, wasn't that lucky? And she's like, yeah, I was lucky. So it was her birthday party, everybody left, but Deadpool stayed around, and they chased these people, and I guess they portal out. So, meanwhile, we find out that by her having these death-defying feats or whatever, every time they take away her powers, it ends up feeding this guy and making him younger again. So, his whole thing is to not kill her, but continually have her in these death-defying situations, kill people around her, the whole bit, and it's going to make him younger for whatever reason. It's not really explained all that well, but anyway, that's the storyline. So they ended up, so now she has her powers back, the baddies are kind of gone for the moment, she takes on another job to do a hit on this boat, so this kind of a yacht. And when they do, they go to the yacht, and there's a little casino thing going on, so it's a little bit Dr. No-ish, and when they do, they go to make the hit, or whatever they have to do. The baddies show up again, and her friends Diamondback and Outlaw are with her, and the Asian Hulk. And of course they're smashing the place up, even though they weren't supposed to have any collateral damage. And at the end, the yacht explodes, from the baddies. So now technically Diamondback and all those guys are kind of dead. Or we don't know how they escaped the explosion, but Domino was thrown. So it's a cute book. Yeah, it's good. So I recommend it. It's got some good dialogue, and the art's decent, and the characters are likable. So I recommend that. All right, then moving on to Wonder Woman number 46. It was hard to find anything, so there's no real title up there or anything else. So Wonder Woman number 46, I kind of had my displeasure about how the last one ended, number 45. So again, it started out good, and then it died a really bad death. So this is bringing back Veronica Cale. So if you want to kind of go into the Veronica Cale storyline, is that she had her daughter, and her daughter was ill, and to save her, Wonder Woman left her on Themyscira. And she hasn't been happy about that, because Veronica, of course, she misses her daughter, and she kind of blames Wonder Woman for part of it. And anyway, she had Cheetah locked up in her lab, and Cheetah escapes the lab. So the fight scenes between Wonder Woman and Cheetah were great. I mean, the artwork's really, really good. So if you're a Cheetah fan, it's definitely a good time throughout. So anyway, she escapes the lab. She goes to kill Veronica. Veronica has this thing called Dr. Cyber, who's a female that got sucked into a computer after she was engaged with a robot. She was like controlling a robot with her mind, and she ended up getting sucked into this thing. It's very strange. I wasn't very happy with that piece of it. But anyway, she's a continuing character now as a Dr. Cyber character. So she confers with Veronica Cale, and Veronica, she gets confronted by Cheetah. Cheetah just goes to kill her, and I guess the gods are dying, and Cheetah keeps repeating this thing that the gods are dying through the whole thing. And so Wonder Woman stops her from killing Cale, and when Wonder Woman leaves, she ends up kind of hitting something, and it ends up that revealing that Supergirl is in there, and that her god's Raoul, which is the Kryptonian god, is dead, and for some reason she's blaming Wonder Woman for that. Meanwhile, Jason rescues his dad from Cobra, and we'll see what happens there. But we'll see. It's very interesting why the gods are dying and why everybody knows the gods are dying, and we'll go from there. But so far, so good. Again, the artwork has been great, and I like that they're using the costume from the movie. I like the costume from the movie. Better than some of the other stuff they came up with New 52. Okay, so continuing on, we're into this Justice League No Justice #1, written by Snyder. And if you know from my previous review of the Little Zero that they did, I wasn't too happy with the start of this, or the plot line. So to go a little bit further into the plot line now, they kind of start out with this fight with Brainiac, meaning the Justice League, and Brainiac says, look, I don't want to fight, I really need your help, and I kind of need not just your help, but everybody's help. Every super you could bring to the table, I kind of need their help. And they're like, what? You're kidding, right? You're a villain, and you want to kill us, and now suddenly you want our help. So he says, give me Wonder Woman's lasso. So Wonder Woman says, here's my lasso, hold it, and yes, you're telling the truth. Of course he's robotic, so I don't know if it even would work on him. But anyway, so he says, look, there's a thing called the Legend of the Four Brothers, and they basically go and they destroy planets, and I need your help because they're going to destroy my home planet. I didn't know he had a home planet. I thought, he was just kind of running all over amok. But anyway, so he says, yeah, they're going to kill my planet, so we need to take the fight to them before, and they're also going to come to Earth, so it's kind of in your best interest anyway. But right now, my planet's the one in peril, so we need to take the fight to them. So meanwhile, there's 4 of them. They're called the Omega Titans, supposedly, and each one of them has a different name, like Entropy, Mystery, Wonder, and I'm like, this is where it jumped the rails for me on the last thing, where they have a Team Wonder and a Team Mystery and Team Entropy and whatever. So anyway, they decide to bring the thing to them, except they go, okay, well, maybe we don't have enough people to really break into 4 teams, and then 5 villains show up. So you have Sinestro, which I thought Sinestro was dead, but I guess apparently in this thing he's alive. So Sinestro, Starro, where they pulled Starro from is beyond me. He was in like Justice League #1 way back when, but I don't know why they pulled him out of the mothballs. But Starro, Lobo, and Lex Luthor. So anyway, really the only interesting part of this. Oh, plus on top of that, all of like his little head kind of glowy orbs and stuff like that. They're wearing them now. Everybody's got them on their costumes. So it's very, very strange. But meanwhile, the the rest of the Justice League is like, or the lower things like Starfire and stuff like that. They're like, we're not working with the villains. What are you kidding? So like they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to. So kind of bite the bullet. But the interesting thing is that Amanda Waller has a whole bunch of psychic or people have mental powers. She's got them all under hacking Brainiac at the same time. So they're about to go on this big mission and whatever else, and Brainiac just collapses because Amanda Waller has hacked him. Of all the times for Amanda Waller's plans to actually, bear fruit, it was now in the middle of this whole thing about to occur. So that was interesting, and of course then we have the big gargantuan alien things that, whatever. But I don't know. I'm still really up in the air on this. I'm not incredibly overwhelmed. The only reason I'm collecting it is because there's only 4 of them. But anyway, if you're if you're a big fan of all the characters kind of being thrown together for whatever reason, then go ahead and pick it up. Otherwise, for me, it probably would be a skip. All right, so we're going to move into Thrawn number 3. Actually, number 4. Number 4 now, because the last one had a plot line that didn't even fit into the story. And just so you know, if this thing continues past 6, I'm probably not going to be reporting on it much longer, because 6 is about all I'm going to give this thing. So I think it's based on a book, but I didn't know that Thrawn had his own book. I mean, the Heir to the Empire stuff that Zahn did, yeah, I knew he was in there, and of course they brought him into Rebels and stuff like that, but I didn't know Thrawn had his own book. Now, like I said, I don't need an origin story for Thrawn. It was no reason. But anyway, this is his origin story, and it's kind of all over the place. So, because it's an origin story, so it takes place years and, over years of period of time. So he's finally become an admiral in this. It starts out with him resolving a conflict on this planet, where there's a whole bunch of people on this board and this committee, and they're arguing about this other part of their planet that's controlled by another alien race, and there's a whole spice thing going on. So they find out there's a conspiracy because these guys are stealing from this other thing, while they're blaming the other people. So he figures everything out and resolves the conflict. So now he's kind of on the upward scale, movement-wise. He gets the admiral thing, and his partner in crime, finally gets the promotion he's looking for. So now they're kind of on the upswing. So then they end up sitting down with this colonel and all these governors, and they look, the insurgents have really been kind of hitting this place called Bataan, and so we can't let them do that any longer, so we have to attack them immediately. And Thrawn's like, look, man, I can't really jump into this right now because I need some more information. And the guy's like, nope, you need to do it now or you're not doing it at all. And he's like, well, I guess I'm not doing it at all. I'll send me wherever you want, but I don't think it's a good idea. So he gets sent to somewhere else, and his partner's going, what are you doing? This, all of our good grace that we've accumulated is now destroyed because you pissed off this colonel. And he's like, not at all, because the colonel's going to fail, and they're going to come back to me anyway. So that's pretty much where that is right now. But and they spent all this time on the last issue with this woman, and she's not even in this issue. So why they took that break to introduce that woman when they could have introduced her in a flashback when she's actually relevant is beyond me. But anyway, I'm not real happy with that book. I like Thrawn as a character, but it's a mess. I think it's a mess. So anyway, that's another book that if you like Thrawn, pick it up, but I'd say skip it. All right, so moving on to Detective Comics number 980. the Batman Eternal. So I did say that correctly, it's Batmen. So this is continuing the story with the Omax. And just, a little bit of story about the Omax. The Omax were created way back when, because Batman created a thing called Brother Eye, so he could basically watch the other Justice League members in case they got out of line. So it ended up, almost Terminator-like, has its own consciousness, and ends up causing a whole bunch of trouble. And Brother Eye creates Omax through nanotechnology. They kind of take over people's body, and there's these big glowing things with a big eye in the middle of it. So they're like cyclopean. So anyway, so Tim from the future comes back and says everything's going to be all messed up, so we have to kill Batwoman because she's going to screw everything up. So as you know, Batwoman killed Clayface when he went a little nuts, and the team kind of threw her out, and now she's working for her dad, and her dad is created all these Batmen because he's military, so he has all these military guys, and he's put them all into like Batman type of costumes. And they're, they're basically a military force with little bats on their symbols, on their chests. So, they bring Stephanie on. Stephanie is still spoiler at this stage. And she was dating Tim. But anyway, so Tim is now taken over by an OMAC, and so is Azrael and Batwing. Because they broke off to go work with, Azrael and Batwing broke off to work with Kate and her dad. And Tim got taken over, during this whole thing with Cassandra, who is Orphan, which I think is a really bad name. But anyway, so that's the situation there. And now we come into this thing, and so Batman is fighting with Azrael and Batwing, and there's a guy named Ulysses who's kind of controlling, to a certain extent, Brother Eye and the Omax. And he's having a good old time just causing havoc. So, meanwhile, Spoiler and Cassandra go in to hack Brother Eye. And Brother Eye's like, you're not really doing a good job here because, or you're not doing a good thing because your potential was stolen with this new timeline. So somehow he knows the old timeline, with the old 52 stuff. And so he says, look, you guys were both Batgirls, and personally, I really like both the Batgirl series. The Stephanie Batgirl was great, and then the Cassandra Batgirl was really good too. So he shows them that they were both Batgirls, and he says, well, you should stop hacking me because your potential is this, and the whole bit. And meanwhile, Tim shows Batwoman that she's going to become a hunter of Batman or whatever. So she's become very militaristic, and this is why you have to die, blah, blah, blah. So you have both these things going simultaneously, but all Stephanie was doing was buying time. I didn't know when she became a hacker. I don't know when that happened. But apparently she's a hacker now, and a very powerful one, because she ends up hacking the Brother Eye thing. And then at the end, she was buying time and says, but look, I was showing you that your potential was stolen. She's like, it didn't get stolen. My potential's still there, and you just showed me that my potential was through the roof. And so we'll see what happens there, but I thought that ending was kind of cool. Anyway, Batman number 980. And last, but certainly not least, Darth Vader number 16. The Darth Vader books are very good. The writing has been phenomenal for the most part. They really embrace the Darth Vader character. So he's working with the Inquisitors from the Rebels and from the Rebels storyline. And I don't, were the Inquisitors in the Clone Wars? I don't think so. I don't think they were in the Clone Wars. I think it was just Rebels from the cartoon. But anyway, so this is continuing the story of the Mon Cala invasion by the Empire. But Darth Vader has his own agenda. As he's trying to track down the Jedi that's kind of been harbored and leading, kind of pushing the the king of Mon Cala to revolt and stuff like that. So a lot of it takes place underwater, but was kind of weird was that one of the generals came on and said, "We're winning everything," but Tarkin's like, "Well, no, we're not." He doesn't say we're not really doing that because there's all these initiatives happening, and there's just all of these engagements happening, and there's just too many. But meanwhile, it shows that they're kind of losing at some of the engagements. So if they were winning all of them, how could they be losing some of them? So, but then it switches over to the Jedi and the guy and all the people that are helping him. So he's got like people that he's recruited over a period of time. So it goes through them trying to run from Vader and these Inquisitors. So as they're running, they end up smacking right back dab into Vader, who basically anticipated their exit strategy, which I thought that was great. So he wasn't chasing them; he was already there by the time they were trying to escape. So the Jedi had gotten this this data card, and his droid was supposed to basically wipe its own memory, self-destruct or whatever. So all that was left of this information was on this data card. So as they're running now they're running from Vader because Vader's right on their heels. And Vader does this really cool thing. So they're underwater. The people all have like swimming gear on with, the big dome-shaped swimming gear. And he just, through the windshield of his sub, he literally goes like this. And one of the things just shatters. So their helmet just shatters. So of course it dies. And what I thought was kind of jarring is that every time one of them, the Jedi's followers, died, they showed one page of how they were recruited or why they were recruited, what their motivation was for being recruited. So every time you had these battle sequences, it was quite jarring because they would go into this flashback scene. And they would do it for every single person. So it was this on and off storyline, a la Lost. And, I didn't think that was a good story, a way to tell the story. But anyway, that's what they did. So anyway, they continue tracking the Jedi and along with his followers, who got less and less and less and less as they get trailed, and they trail them into this this little island area or underground island area, and Vader comes up, and Vader gets pulled away. That's right, Vader gets pulled away to do another mission. Because Tarkin says, "Look, I need your help elsewhere, so can you just let your people deal with the Jedi?" And he's like, "I don't really take orders from you." And Tarkin's like, "Yeah, I'm not giving you an order. I'm requesting your help. So can you help me?" And Vader's like, all right." So he sends the Inquisitors out to deal with the Jedi. And so he's with the Inquisitors and this whole bunch of stormtroopers. So the Jedi says, "Look, I'm not going to fight you." He tosses his lightsaber away, and they're like, "What kind of trick you pulling here?" And he force pulls the helmets off of the stormtroopers and sees they're clones, which he kind of suspected. And he says, "Look, I'm not going to fight you because these are, some of the clones that were built, during the time of the destruction of the Jedi. So I'm going to enact not Code 66, but Executive Order 66. I'm going to invoke and execute Order 66." So he thinks that naturally all of the clones are going to turn on the Inquisitors, because of course they're former Jedi. So we will see what happens there, because that's kind of how it ends, and let's see if the stormtroopers turn on the Inquisitors, which would be very interesting. But of course, all the Jedi's followers are pretty much dead, and he's just there by himself. So, but anyway, Darth Vader has been very good, and I like how they you know what I know that the murder droids are all in Dr. Aphra. But I really wish that the murder droid stayed in Darth Vader, because it was kind of a perfect match for Vader, to have these droids that he could call on to kill people if he needed to elsewhere, and enjoy doing it. But, you know, because I think they're underutilized in Afra. I think everything's underutilized in Afra, but including Dr. Afra. But they would have been better matched in Vader. Anyway, that's my my review, or my log of comics for this week. And of course, the comics come out tomorrow, so I'll be doing one for next week as well. I will be going to Kubla Khan and to License Expo, so I'm going to be gone for 10 days at the end of the month. So I'm kind of going to be skipping a week somewhere in there. But anyway, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. And again, in the comic section, if you want me to review any kind of a storyline or any issues coming up, let me know. All right, have a great week.